Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and time now for the nation's sharpest opinion. Now, just a year after Indira Gandhi put in the word secular and socialist, my emphasis on the word secular, just a year after she inserted the word secular, year or two after that, into the preamble of the Constitution to distract from what she was doing, her dictatorship, the fascism of her son, the untold torture and the removal of all democratic rights in India. Just a year or two after that, after the emergency, in Sambhal there were riots. 1978, ladies and gentlemen. Now, those were terrible riots, terrible riots. It's alleged more than 180 to 200 people lost their lives in the violence. 24 Hindus were killed and then burnt. Hindus were targeted brutally. Families were forced to migrate from Sambhal. There was complete terrorism in Sambhal, communal terrorism. Now, there were 1,272 people who were named, 200 people were booked. Cases were filed, were closed due to lack of evidence. Only 6 people were convicted in 2 cases. 80 people in 6 cases were exonerated by the court. And you will ask, under whose tenure did this injustice happen? Who allowed it? Well, the Sambhal riots happened. Hindus were targeted and killed and tortured when the Janata Party was in power. Morarji Desai was the Prime Minister. Chaudhary Charan Singh was the Home Minister. After that, it was the Congress who was in power for a decade. When the Sambhal cases were closed, it was the Congress Party in power. VP Singh 80 to 82, Shripati Mishra 82 to 84, and right up to Narayan Dutt Tiwari in 1989, the Congress and the people who were earlier close to the Janata Party will not like to hear it, but the fact is, Yogi Adityanath is 100,000% right when he says there was injustice in Sambhal. And that's why he says that for him it is a wound which must undergo surgery. Ladies and gentlemen, the whole country is talking about his comment yesterday and wondering why Yogi Adityanath in that conversation spoke about a surgery. The allegation against Yogi Adityanath is that he's thinking very, very sharp, but the questions and the ways in which he answered those questions are uncomfortable, that we should have a more placid response. We should be quiet about the injustice of the past and not pick up or rake up old issues. Ladies and gentlemen, will that cover up the fact that the witnesses in the case were pressurized? Will that cover up the fact that people whose families were killed were forced to leave Sambhal? Will it be cover up the fact that people there were allegations that top politicians, some of them from the minority community, put pressure on the victims to make them leave Sambhal? Why should the present generations in this country 45 years later not know the terror that was unleashed in Sambhal? Viewers, what is Yogi Adityanath saying? He's saying, I'm not going to let go of the issue. And there are several people, some within the BJP, many outside the BJP, who would not want the Sambhal issue to be raked up because it is seen to be an uncomfortable issue. There are people who are concerned at what will be the opinion of the Western media if issues like Sambhal are raised. My question to them is, will the Western media come and rule our country? Will the Western media, will these so-called Western critics analyze the real problems of our country? Do they know the real reasons for the unrest in our country? Do they know and acknowledge the truth about Muslim appeasement and the targeting of Hindus? Would they speak about the Sabarmati train burning, the way in which 58 people were killed and burnt alive? Would the Western media write opinion pieces on them? It wouldn't. So why should we care for the Western media? Why should we not just care for the truth? And in that context, Yogi Adityanath's sharp comment, I agree, very controversial comment, a comment which has made people look and listen, but a comment which people have taken attention to, towards which their attention has been drawn, is his use of the word surgery. Ladies and gentlemen, please notice the body language of Yogi Adityanath, when he answered that question, he was in deep thought. He was answering the question, looking downward a little bit, as if he was measuring every word, and then he said that there are some things which cannot be solved by radiotherapy or chemotherapy. They have to be solved by surgery. However big the wound is, it can be solved only if there is a proper and clean surgery done. This may be Yogi Adityanath's style of speaking, way of operating. Some people may say this is the bulldozer approach. The question is this: is the bulldozer approach the right approach? I know views are divided on this, but on the nation's sharpest opinion tonight, as the Yogi government begins the process of a reinvestigation into that very 1978 massacre in Sambhal, 1978 riots in Sambhal, then remember this, viewers, obviously the wound has not healed. 1978 to 2025, somebody born in that year 1978 would be 46 years old today, which means that anybody under the age of 60 would not have a very strong recollection of Sambhal and may have no recollection at all that Sambhal ever happened. But the fact is, it did happen. It did happen, ladies and gentlemen.